Good evening. We'd like to welcome you to a panel discussion on the current moratorium on local beer sales being presented over the Inuk broadcasting system by the Cambridge Bay Alcohol and Drug Committee. The two questions we'd like to ask our panel is, one, in your opinion, what effect has the current moratorium on local beer sales had in Cambridge Bay? And two, would you be in favor of an extension of the moratorium? I would like to begin by introducing our panel. Mrs. Joanne Thomas of the Alcohol and Drug Center, the Katimavik Center, Constable Dave Emino of the RCMP, Mr. Frank Stephenson of the Cambridge Bay Settlement Council, Mr. Joe Otokiak of the Cambridge Bay Settlement Council, Mr. Jaco Polongayak of the Social Services, and Ms. Jessie Palvik, the Chairman of the Cambridge Bay Alcohol and Drug Committee. Again, I'll repeat the questions. In your opinion, what effect has the current moratorium on local beer sales had in Cambridge Bay? And two, would you be in favor of an extension of this moratorium? We'll begin our questions with Ms. Thomas from the Katimavik Center.
Okay, in answer to the first question, like I had only been personally in Cambridge Bay for a short time before the moratorium started, but speaking on behalf, I guess, of the people that use the alcohol center and people that I come into contact with in the community, the majority of them are much happier since the beer sales have been cut off. The quality, I guess, of life has improved a great deal. The kids, for one group for certain, are much happier, the ones that I've spoken to, and most of them don't really like the idea of beer sales coming back into the community. Okay? It's too long.
Dahil na ilang okaw tigiya takwa imekwe madlakarang mata nakugarang marima tatkakhetan nito mani takwa inuni mingitut takwa ranu takat okakatigiyay nakuhi
In your opinion, Ms. Thomas, would you be in favor of an extension of the moratorium of this local beer sales?
Since I am employed by the Alcohol Committee, I would have to say yes, I would be in favor of an extension of the moratorium.
In miligok taza tahap ko noon ay mikot hawak tu kami nakugiyagok takwa okauti bun.
And to further that, like personally, I believe for anything to take root in a community or in any group of people, it has to be around for longer, for a 6-month period, you know, for something to get established, say, having people getting used to taking part in their communities.
Tapo mo nang ituk lugok ta siksi nang ito nitat kakhet ni
Kwana Nakto, Joanne. Thank you, Joanne. We'll now go to Constable Emino from the RCMP. The same two questions. In your opinion, what effect has the moratorium on local beer sales had in the community, and would you be in favor of an extension?
Firstly, without expressing a personal opinion, I'd like to say that the moratorium definitely has had an effect on Cambridge Bay.
Okay, wait.
In mirigong nakugiya down na iming nailko alang palyang man ngo kam na nayaktak.
And to qualify this, I have a few statistics from previous years and this past year.
Imarigo in mi hawak tiyo kami takwat alang akatakton ngo na may ukiyo ni tazamidlo.
From a period of 3 months, October to December 1979,
Tat kakete ni tama ni pingaw ni October me, December mo 1979 me.
during that 3-month period, we had lodged in our cells 120 prisoners for being drunk in a public place and other violations of the liquor ordinance.
Tahap ko igok pibagay tahap ko na ni imang nikut ihuy na tukut 120 gok tahap ko ni nuit pi mayaw yut.
During the same 3-month period in 1980, when the moratorium was in effect, we lodged only 5 persons for the same reasons of drunk in a public place and violations of liquor ordinance.
Tahap ko na ni doctor kakete ni pingaw ni 1980 me ikikliyo tahap ko inu ni mang nikut piyaw himayon.
Further to that, this was not a gradual change from 120 to 5, but as a direct result of the moratorium.
Tahap ko nga imingin ang kumikimarang kita inamigay ito ni sa makatok teori at sa okay ikikliyon.
For the 3 months just prior, July, August, and September 1980, prior to the moratorium, we had lodged 90 persons in our cells for those same reasons.
July, September, middle 90 tahap ko ni itaktaw himayon.
Generally speaking, with other charges, there has been a decrease, though not as great.
Tapos sa kimi mga kamatilugi tahap ko ni kikliyon.
Okay, for an answer to the second question, because of my position in the community, I cannot express an opinion as to whether it should be extended or not. However,
In medigo pili mahawaki kami niglo kanok in pili main nami.
I feel that the figures quoted in my answer to question number 1 speak for themselves.
Tam na hiwalak mayan
And our office has sent a letter to the Drug and Alcohol Committee advising them of our support in their endeavors.
Talbo na uwawat kati may tito kami hawlak ti may bigiyakot in miktak tito kakto nuwap ting na ikay ako mang matigon.
Juana Nocto, Constable Emino. Thank you very much, Constable Emino, for answering our questions. We now ask the same 2 questions of Mr. Frank Stephenson.
Well, to question number one, I haven't seen very much effect that moratorium has had, because I don't wander around as much as the constable and see who's drinking or not. And weekends I don't go uptown as much as I used to anymore. But I'd say it has a good effect. I see people go out on the line more often on weekends and on Sundays, and children staying home weekends for sure. That's another sure thing. So it's such a very much change for the better.
Wala ko kati yakot akong may yakot talbong Frank Stephenson mon in miligo ka piyo katayo nami imakto nigluo tagwala ko na tawag ka kimi inita ko dak pagayda awla katak parang mata.
Would you be in favor, Mr. Stephenson, of seeing this moratorium continued in Cambridge Bay?
Well, I can make an opinion on that, because when it first went down as a moratorium, I was entirely against it, but now I am very much undecided.
In miligo kanori remind me taza o kaya gadang mata in miligo piyo mangit kadwa kami
Kwananakto, Mr. Stephenson, thank you very much for your comments. We now turn to Mr. Joe Otokiak of the Settlement Council.
That first question, I think we have sort of the same view as to whether or not this moratorium has had an effect on the quality of life in Cambridge Bay, and I believe it has, because I've been here for a long time, and I go out on the weekends, and now you don't see as many people out as you did before when they didn't have the moratorium on, and I think just the quality of life has really improved a lot, and just from the statistics that the constable gave, I think it's pretty clear that the moratorium has improved the majority, like the population of Cambridge Bay, and I'd be in favor of extending the moratorium, because you know, it's mostly the younger folk, the children that suffer, and they're the ones that we have to think about, I think. And I'm just in favor of an extension. Tam na ukaw hiriya tamap tahaman ikiwayugud ihumagapta imatut tam na nutkakitang mat piatang nek sitoamin inuin hamani ikaluptut yami pimmaklubiak tu gaduin imirangamig tatja imityawe kamig takun nakhi wadliang manida imiroy diha kutiklo imiktunik takwat takpalang na kuni ikaluptut yang imado inuy lo awla katakpalya kutiklo nutak katiklo pihimat jera kuit ping mata tam na ima okado waktu nga hibitu yak tumiganut aksitaw mikpat namagi naktakadwa nutak kabut ki ihumagi apkilo nutak kabut tamapta imirangap tayda pihimat yaong na pagkapti ihumadugi talbato inuin hamani kalugtut yamin nutakaya kang mata tam na nagugiro akta nutkakti daw mikpat piatang nagsito abitay tayday kanya gadwa.
Kwananakto, Mr. Otokiak, thank you very much for your comments. We now turn to Jaco Polongayak from Social Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On that first question there, we have seen some of our own statistics drop drastically, like calls, like in the evenings. Before this moratorium was in effect, the beer sale was in weekend. We used to get calls, about 12 to 14 calls a week. But now it has dropped to about maybe 2 or 1 or nothing at all. Family life has improved, although some families still are into a lot of drinking due to increase in the liquor being flown in from down south. And the younger kids, they don't stay out late all hours of the night while the parents go get drunk, which was happening in 7 months or so. And I'm not getting calls back about children being mistreated or left behind alone, being left alone, being looked after by younger kids. See more people out on weekends, more happy faces. Seen younger kids better clothed. I think this moratorium has a good effect for this community, although it still has a long way to go yet. Havalam tam nut kamat biang natit Inuit tau tu dak ka ale ho dak tuldo nutak kaldu ale ho dak tun ilan tau ka ai pangnia tam na pe hamani tildu gai havang na ngat Saturday timilu Sunday milu phone tau lak pak tu ilani 12 niglun need 14 niglun need phone tau lak pak tu game it za tam na nut kamat michin no aktun inita phone ta atau inal lunit malgog lunit ilani lunit phone yuit inuit Kanot.
Guananacto, Mr. Palongayak, thank you very much for your comments. We now turn to Jessie Palovic, the chairman of the Alcohol and Drug Committee, and ask her for her comments. Jessie?
On that first question, what is the purpose of the moratorium? I have seen so many changes since the beer sales and months after the beer sales. So there's been a lot of activities going on, and a lot of people are going out hunting. And the kids are well looked after now, and as for health, better, and the people are more happy that there's no beer sales. Even some people might go out and order their booze, but that's more expensive than beer, and it affects you more. But the kids are happier with their families not drinking, that they can be looked after. And as for the social workers, they've had so many calls, and they've dropped down, so we don't have hardly any calls. And we thank the RCMP for their for their cooperation in the matter of giving us some statistics as to the prior moratorium and the after the moratorium. And we thank the nursing station for their answering our letter. Tamna kautigi ako hibalak apekotigi yakot tasarina ko hiyok imekwe katang matay no imek pagkado ako tik imek palaw hamani niwekwe kami gimeng mek ako yak pagkado ako tik imek palaw kami nakuhiyot takwaro pidimat ko ni kayak pangmatiyot kaya waktu takwat ukaw tigi abot inuinisok takatak to ni kikling mata apekwe katak tuloy kikling mata uwadat mo nakeda habak palaw katang mata ning akakamanig kanoklo ni natakalo pimataw tiyarang mata nakuhiyok imari wangay himayunga talbuna ukiyang megata meg uktakawak midota.
Kwananakto, Jesse. The nurses could not be here tonight, but they have sent us a letter, and I would like to read some of it to you.
Tam narigok sa hak takon unakit kunitay gulagumaya.
The nursing station staff feels that the 6-month moratorium on beer sales in Cambridge Bay has been a very good experience.
Tam narigok mo nakit kun titawak tano kautigiyat hapkuanim nginut kalang mata nagugiyat.
Even though the beer sales have been stopped, we are still treating the same number of people that are beaten up because of alcohol abuse.
Takwalu imngita zanut kakarak tilugit inuini makpagtut ninga kakimay luazikit takwa mayuwaktun.
We feel that this means that Cambridge Bay still has a very serious liquor problem.
Repeat your.
This means that Cambridge Bay still has a very serious problem with alcohol abuse.
Talbuna rin kadugtut yakam na imang nikko na yung nakita kami.
We also asked Miss Dawn Wilson, the principal of the school, to come tonight, but she wasn't able to come, but she did send us a letter also.
Sikok titilutan natin yat kahit ko mayakarakot kahit may titirak mayukihime.
The local Saturday beer sales had very little effect on the school attendance. Most people that drank on the weekends had become sober by Monday morning. School attendance is affected when liquor orders from Yellowknife are delivered during the week. This is not a new problem. The problem of drinking during the week did get worse at the beginning of the beer sales. The problem of drinking during the week did get worse at the beginning of the moratorium. But this has evened out, and the number of people that are affected by liquor are the same as before the beer moratorium. The principal hopes that people who still have a problem with alcohol will begin to use the Alcohol and Drug Center for counseling. We will now take phone-in messages and comments on these two questions. Please call us at 983-2213. The number is right here.
Kuana ako takidlat kafe. Bunga apakhe umagofita ko ako tigapting muna ako phone in nakarik 983-2213.
While we wait for some phone-in messages, just to recap what has been said, the RCMP notices a sharp decline in figures for arrest due to alcohol abuse.
Kasi ko takidlag dito taka o tigi abot tap ko lapiri mata imang likod ikiglir ako tayo kanok doon apakhe umagofi.
The nursing station notices a better quality of health for the people in Cambridge Bay.
Muna kilita ako sa tap ko na apakhe umagofi inuin ngo anya katong.
And social services has had fewer emergency calls due to alcohol abuse in the community.
Manito akadukto may tap ko kayo hawak tit phone ta kato yang mata imang nakita.
The Alcohol and Drug Committee is currently petitioning the Settlement Council for an extension of the current moratorium. We would welcome you to call in now at 983-2213 with your comments on these two questions about the beer sales, and we would also welcome a letter from you to the Alcohol and Drug Committee in Cambridge Bay.
Tam na rigo phone in nakarik 983-2213 apekhe umagofi kanok imaktigulo imaraw ni phone ako mangit ko fiti tsaka nakarik.
The question of alcohol abuse in Cambridge Bay is a very serious question.
Tam na imang nikot ako iwiri ko tit apekhe umagofi apekhe nakarik.
And we would like to hear comments from the people in Cambridge Bay onto whether they would like to see a continuation of the moratorium.
Tahap ko jam nito ako may kanong irifi makakayafing nit ubuna okay ang may pinawakan niyang may umikimalaglagot imingin.
This is your community and we need help to make it work better.
Irifi ham na nagigafig nakuhit ako wapsigo irifi kayak tukawafi.
A brief word on the liquor that is brought in from Yellowknife on PWA.
Mikan na miglugo kautigid lang niya takot imngit kataktuting miyakot.
There has not been a noticeable increase of liquor from Yellowknife coming into the community during the moratorium.
Imngin umikimalak tiluita za imngit katangin matataza na kuyo.
The same people that tended to order liquor before the moratorium tend to be the same ones that are still getting it in.
Imngit ang mamatiluita ko inuini akayak takatakton imngnik tazatak umikimatiliwina zikin huli.
The beer moratorium has allowed people to begin to live the kind of lives that they can live without alcohol abuse.
Inuit daw inuhiya taza nakuhiyok taza imngit umikimalang mata.
We ask you to support the moratorium and its extension if you feel it is a good reason.
Imatang nakuhiyok daw na imangang mamadlagdok
We welcome your phone calls at 983-2213.
Imataw ako magupi ubunga phone in Eric 983-2213 mon.
Hello?
Is this a thing concerning about liquor and stuff?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yes. I would like to see the moratorium extended.
Okay.
Because so far now this moratorium is very good because people in Cambridge Bay are leading normal, everyday lives without this abuse of alcohol, and I think it would be a good idea to extend it. I would like to see the extension of the moratorium happen, and because it's good, because people in Cambridge Bay can lead normal, everyday lives without alcohol abuse.
Unari yo kakto ko yo ka imata na nakakamandang man imek imaro iniligo ko ya hotel matatay matat ko ya giya.
Thank you for your call very much.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Kinalu. Anyone else who would like to call in?
Inuk shook.
Well, I don't believe. I think you should put the beer sales back on again. I don't see really why you should have them discontinue.
You have any specific reasons for this?
Certainly. We have reports from the nursing station and the RCMP, which is sitting there. I think the only thing that the beer sales done was on Saturday night was probably ruined the weekend for the RCMP and the nursing station. And I'm sure they're getting the same problems through the week, but on an off basis more than it ever had before. And I don't really think anything really changed.
Unari ko kay maayong mayok imngin ngok natkaksit tumangitay. Inmiri ko kay maayong magami adlang ngok kamain matahuri.
I think the only thing that might have changed was that the nursing station, the RCMP, is not busy on Saturday night.
Adlang ngong ngitul ngok rita haka kimi gok piri mato munakil hawat siya waktan.
But through the week they have their off calls the same because they are bringing in 40 ounces of booze and they get drunker, probably faster and fall asleep. And I still think that there is as much trouble with hard brews and probably more.
Tano ko tigiya iming ngok ta ko tigiya kataktus iming ang nat kayaw mata tap kuninga.
So that's what I'd like to say, but I would like to talk to the RCMP and also Frankie sitting there too.
Tajago kakatigid lago mangumego na pili may kibakatigakot Frank Stephenson lo.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Also, do you think with the RCMP, what I see is that maybe in every settlement across Northwest Territory is that on the weekends the RCMP is probably busy, and through the week they're not busy, but I believe now that you are still having your same problems, but spread over 5 days instead of 1 day.
No, I heard what you told me.
All right, or whatever.
Now, I would like to tell you that the statistics I gave were for 7 days a week and not just for Saturday nights. I didn't go into great detail because to baffle you with figures was not the intent here.
Right.
There is a sharp decrease. You're going to have to take my word for that. I have statistics to prove it. Our work during the week has not increased. Liquor coming in has not created any greater problem than it did prior to moratorium. And the simple fact now is that instead of the whole community getting intoxicated with their 2 cases of beer on one night, it's spread out. And if someone does require assistance, they have someone that no doubt is sober that they can go to, a neighbor or something. It's not a total effect on the community. like it used to be. There is still liquor coming in, you're correct, and there are still parties, and there will be as long as there's liquor sale. You know, liquor's allowed in Cambridge Bay. And I'm not saying that it shouldn't be. But as far as requiring any action of a criminal nature, not so serious. Have I answered your question?
No, not really. I've talked to a nurse, and as far as the more patients coming to the hospital on beat-ups or whatever you have it, it hasn't changed, and enough to even really say this is what I had quoted from one nurse. And
who quoted you that, sir?
Well, certainly I'm not going to tell you who quoted me that.
Well, I'll tell you who gave me mine. I'm saying as far okay, with respect, I was the figures I gave were intoxicated in a public place, liquor ordinance offenses, people lodged in the drunk tank that don't have to be lodged in the drunk tank now because there's someone that can look after them if they are drunk. The rest of the community is not drunk. With respect to serious assaults, there is a decrease from 1978, a slight decrease from the same time period in 1979, and also a slight decrease July through September 1980. But assaults is only part of the picture. It doesn't, serious assaults that have to be attended to by the nurse. It doesn't take into account the children that are left out in the cold, and so on and so forth, because everybody in the community is intoxicated on one night of the week.
Right, I agree with you there for sure, but...
so then you are agreeing that there is an improvement since the moratorium, are you?
No, I don't agree there's an improvement. I agree that there's more hard booze coming into town, and that probably the only solution is that the people are getting drunker and passing out faster, and that's causing probably less problems maybe.
All I can say is that that's not the case. There's still liquor coming into town, but no substantial increase over the last 2-month period compared to November, December, January of 1979 and 80. There's people that had hard liquor come in and will continue to have hard liquor come in, moratorium or not.
Could I talk to Frankie for a second, please?
Sure thing.
Hello? Frankie, what do you think of this year, stopping the booze, the beer run?
Yeah, I was entirely against it when they had it. Now I'm very much undecided, eh?
You're very much undecided.
Yeah. But I sure would like to have beer again, though.
Well, that's what I just wanted to talk to you about, eh? But you were against it. Now you're saying that maybe we should have beer again, eh? Do you see any reason with having beer here?
Well, I don't see any reason for going without it either.
Right. And do you feel that there's more hard booze coming into town for the people, and people getting drunker probably, and the same problems are on the line?
Well, I can't say there's more coming in because the people I drink with are always the same people, eh?
Right.
So I can't speak for the rest of the community.
Right. Okay, thank you very, very much. Bye now.
We thank the two callers and invite anyone else to call 983-2213.
Hello, Inuk.
Hello, is this the caller program?
Yes, it is.
Yes, I'd like to say I'm in favor of the continuation of the moratorium on beer sales.
Any specific reasons why?
Well, the community seems to be a lot better. The people, most of the people seem to be in a lot better mood. More people are going out hunting, and there hasn't been as many people walking around drunk in town, or not as many fights. I used to have people come pounding on my door wanting protection or wanting to come to my house, and I haven't had any more of them, like friends of ours. So it seems to be doing a lot of good. And I'd even go as far to say that they should continue with the moratorium in a larger scale, like monitoring the liquor that comes in during the week and distributing it on a restricted basis.
Tam na rigo kauti ako na nagugiya rigo. Tatarigo ka iminum himay tuluwit na ilan nakakarwa kami.
They used to come to our door at nights, odd hours of the night, looking for help because their husbands were beating on them or they were in trouble.
Ilan na iligor takuan imingakya ko tik kumarak pagkarang mata iglanan.
And since the beer sale's been on, we haven't had any more people coming looking for help because of alcohol problems.
Takuago imingin umishumarak tuluwit Tapos iming waktu ulit kay makataktot tahamang out.
And another reason I go out hunting with people in town, and I've noticed a lot more people going out hunting and living off the fur trade and going out and getting more meat rather than staying at home and spending their money or drinking.
Imatuligo ka nakuhiyo imatuta outlock pag kami ligo. Outlock katawrak pag kami. Tuktiyo katawrak pag kami. Inuidliwak ta kami kahit tutawrak tayo ta tuktiyo katanang mata.
And I'd just like to say that if the moratorium continues, it would give the people in town a better opportunity to learn more, work harder, and hold their jobs better.
Imatawli tam na pinakot ako ta ukiyang may tao ta umikimadlagpat inuit tao ka naman nakuhit yang na may habat yang na ako gidlo.
And even to make their educational skills or get more education and take trades or get more schooling for people that aren't working.
Tapos ligo iriakat takton iriat yang na ako tiglo. Imaro iriat yang may tulo irit yang na ako tig imasi ko likod hunamik habaka ko mayaming ning.
I've also noticed talking to other people in town that more people are taking advantage of the sports programs, and there are more people going to church in town now.
Imataw ligo ka ukakatirak pag kami gininwid nakakangami humi piw ko ni donate perirak pagayin ngo.
And I just think overall it would be better for everybody if the beer sales were kept stopped, and for everybody or for the people in town to more or less bring it on themselves to help everybody stop drinking.
Imataw ligo kayo kaya talbo na imang nakamadlagpat inuin ngo nakuwit siya ako magamigit.
And I'd just like to say that nobody can force this on them. Everybody has to do it to themselves. They can't. Nobody can do this to them. They have to work at this themselves to make the community better, so they can make a better community.
Imataw ligo ka inmi pitimay na me iwakrimay na me ka imaktan liwang nakaktiday na migit inuin ngo inming yumayo ka daw mata.
And I'd just like to say a lot of people say that Cambridge Bay is the worst community in the north because it is a bad community for alcohol abuse.
Tama rigo ikalukto daw ka kaya pang nakuwiyang ito ni imarago ay makpadlak pagkutiglo bibang mata.
And only the people in this town can change the sayings about the town and have people say that it's a good town to come to.
Inuit ligo ta ka haman ng miutat inming nik hamna ko kadak pagtara naku yokle iday tawle naku ingit karakot ko.
That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Okay. Bye.
We thank the 3 callers we've had and invite anyone else who has a comment to call 983-2213.
Tahap ko rigo pingana mga kautitan ng Eric 983-2213
I would also like to mention that we are only talking about the moratorium on local beer sales in Cambridge Bay. For those people like the second caller who like to drink and want to drink, they can order all the beer and all the liquor they want from Yellowknife.
Hello?
Hello, could I talk in Eskimo instead?
Yes, I'll give you Jesse. One moment.
Hello? Hello? Okadalago magamali, Inuit humildaka hamong ano tinunutak pag kami ingat ako tibalak pangunaksot complain react ako it like Krugyok or Kingaw forever hamong inunutak pag kami imang nang nagluna ko ngit tutik imilaka nga magtaw complain it kiblutik tazay merong na kami tahap ko welfare mute complain it complain ako magumik. At least they should, kano kaya kami narokalaki mo nga.
Tam na hiwalak, hunakaw diyan? Tako ano kataktot
kataktot inuga kiti kami kaugtut yamat complain at pakutiglo. Well, how come they keep moving to Cambridge Bay if they don't like Cambridge Bay?
This caller is saying that people are coming in from other settlements that don't have beer or beer sales in their settlements. And they're complaining when they come to Cambridge that people are drinking a lot and canola?
Something like that, yeah, that's good. I want to say a little bit more. Hamanang nautang tuktaw. Dahil mawakaktukaw ngit karang inuit kimit tuhawi kawarid meter yakimagumik katilutik inuit settlement meter umik.
Tam na kinaukaktok ang kalunang?
Kablunak, tam na kakaluang mat tadza.
Na diyan?
Tam na kinguliw, hibulya.
Second caller. Is that yours? Ang na?
Angon.
Angon? Minitang?
No, nahunong
minitang lokal, pidi maluha manituk tanaro, hawakti, tahap ko na ni Apalan drag me.
Telefotik ko kakpatyak ko.
Uba.
Ila ubat tiyaw kaktok tayo na telefotik ko.
Oh. Atong ni ka piyo manginap.
I know atong piyo mangitugot, alright, but the way he talks, he's just like, you just can't tell anybody what to do. That's the trouble in Cambridge, because we got to communicate with the people first. That's the only way we could, maybe...
Minita, ukakatigilaw ka, kalunatan na, ukakatitiyang na katinay.
Hello?
Hello? I don't speak very good English, but I'll try. Okay?
Okay.
We got lots of visitors from all over. This is our little settlement. The way I said, from Perry Island, people moving in from Baycheimer and Bathurst, where they're not used to this kind of a stuff. And lots of people on welfare. The people on the welfare, they cut down. That's good. Yeah, that's really good for a couple of months. At least maybe they could extend it a little more. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, do you think that the sale of beer in the Bay store is a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, good thing for a little while, yeah, for the welfare peoples.
It's good to stop it for a little while.
Yes, well, you see, when we're selling beer, they sell it only once a week. By the time people always be drying, one night everybody get drunk, step out the whole town. That's their trouble, huh?
Yeah, that's the main problem that we see with the local sale of beer, is that it gets a large percentage of the people drunk
at the same time.
I know, that's what I'm trying to say, because they sell it only once a week, Saturdays. By the time Saturday comes, everybody's dry and all that, and they'll be drunk for a couple of days until the beer's finished.
Yes. Well, we'd like to thank you very much for calling and would like to open the line for other callers. Kwana anakto.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Ukala waktu waktu ukala lang yak tu. Taham nali ukaw yak ihwa kaya kat ubanga.
He's saying that the things we've been talk about he agrees with.
Imili umikimay tiluit nutakkalok kimarak pagkaluang ng mata iglum nun.
While there were still beer sales, kids used to run away from their homes to come to our home.
Kaya imit uming mata tulabak palawe ko tiglu inuit kaya ko anak yun ko biya tutulu idibluting.
Right now, as beer sales close, that they don't have as much trouble as they used to, and he's happy that the beer sales are closed.
Talba ang unyat tiara ko tiglu ang unyak para ko tig inuit talba imit uming mata.
Since beer sales have been abandoned for a while, there's been a lot of people going out hunting.
Tuba katitiglo nutak katiglo na kay kakiyok parang mati kaya ko anak yun.
He is thankful that people are going out hunting and providing for their families.
Dahil balo nanarayak tutiyara kutiglo tiragan yak kutiglo ukiyo yak talba alatun idiyun.
It's been a great change that a lot of people are going trapping and hunting.
Talba hilamilo talba naglikha ko kamik imngin uming matakko anak yok talba kakitirahuak pagkaluang matalo ida kakiyok kinak pang matalo imngin umikimay tilugin.
Since the ban of beer, there's been he is thankful that there's hardly any people walking around or freezing, and there's hardly any trouble on the streets.
Kaya ko anak yok tay umikimagan na kimag tam na umikimagan nang magpatatay talba kuyaging miyawa.
He said he'd be thankful again if we try to get a year's extension.
Yeah, tayo mag-ukaw siya bat kuya na.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello?
Yes. I would just like to say that I am in favor of the moratorium, and I can see the good points that it has brought to Cambridge Bay, and that for the people, as what has been said earlier in the program. And I would just like to make a point that if it is a moratorium, it should be all or nothing. The fact that selling beer on a Saturday night really seems to hide the real truth of how things really are, because people can sober up and go to school on Monday. The kids can be at school. Everything can seem normal. People can show up for work on Mondays and appear as though they've had a good weekend at home, and it just seems that you're really hiding the truth. So if you're going to bring back the beer sales, then why not bring it back for every night of the week?
Imari ko na kakto ka kuya giyari ko tano ka tiyak ko tap kuno na imang nutkang niyagot imari ko kinuit ko ya terang mata kuya giyay angonek tiara khatiglo urak ka tiara khatiglo hamani inuit dai matligo ihumayok imata ka tan na pinakit kupti ko tao kiyong may umikimadlaglago da kwaligok pianong ang mangmik pata hokligok ang maumay nak niyaktut sa tingokat hung man ang maktaw mangitut ublok tamad hawang naktidlugo.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
We do realize that there is a continuing problem with alcohol in the community, but do feel that the stoppage of local beer sales has helped a majority of the people to begin to control their alcoholic problems, if they have them.
Ugakulitam na kang kimadaktakot imang nikot ihuinak to na amagayrak pang matang. Kimita ko na kami midlatigot tayo manako yung manako.
Those people who feel that they still have a problem with alcohol should seek some counseling or treatment at the Alcohol and Drug Center.
Tahap ko rin ini makpadlarak pagtit ikayak tayo ni kuda ikayak tayo magafitap kuno na ikayak katimayini ikayak tayo magafi ayo kaya na kaya rin.
No regulation can stop people from drinking. If you have a problem drinking, it really must be an individual decision to stop and to seek help for it. We thank you for listening tonight and for calling in, and encourage you to attend any meetings that may be held concerning the extension of the moratorium. We'd like to thank the people here tonight in the studio and the people who have called in, and especially the Inuk staff and our translator, Jesse. On behalf of us all here tonight, good night.